internet, my name is Lave and I watched Rocketman, which is directed by Dexter Fletcher, who's come a long way as an actor from the Bugsy Malone days. I will always know him as Soap from Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels. He has directed films before, probably most notably Eddie the Eagle, which also starred Taron Egerton, but he also directed Bohemian Rhapsody when Bryan Singer got fired from that for whatever reason, but more on that later. This time around he's looking into the life of Reginald Dwight, aka Elton John, the living legend rock star, and how he rose to fame and the relationships that shaped him along the way, exploring all of the ups and downs that come with fame and fortune. So I was obviously aware from the trailers that this was going to be a biography about the man himself, but I hadn't realised how it was going to be presented, which is as a musical. And I'm not the biggest fan of musicals, but I've got to say I really enjoyed this film. I can definitely see this being adapted to the stage, but as a film I thought it worked incredibly well, especially when it started to venture into the fantasy element. It enables the film to cover a lot of ground in a really entertaining, fast-paced way, zipping back to him as a kid, dreaming of success, to his first gig in America where he literally takes flight, and the subsequent tours that took him into the stratosphere, literally. There's a lot of really good ideas in there, especially in some of the ways that it will transition from scene to scene or even from time period to time period. One in particular that really stood out for me is a montage with Elton playing the piano and the camera's spinning around him, and it transitions from him at different stages in his life in different costumes. I haven't seen anything quite like it. I thought that was a really interesting way to show a passage of time. I think there is a difference between this and Bohemian Rhapsody. I think you can tell that Bohemian Rhapsody had a troubled production, whereas with this one you can tell that the creative team were in there from the start and they were able to see it through to the end. Performance-wise, this is next level stuff from Taron Egerton. I know he's already an established actor via the Kingsman movies, but this feels like he's arrived now. He rises to the challenge of the emotional side of Elton off stage. I mentally said to myself in one scene with his dad where I was like, yeah, that's the Oscar clip right there. I mean, if Rami Malek can clean up all of the awards, I don't see any reason why Taron Egerton can't do the same now. I think this is just as good, maybe even better, considering that he actually did all of his own singing. With regards to his singing, he's really good. I mean, really, really good. There were a couple of occasions where I felt like he's really pushed his voice to the max. I'm no singing expert, but there were occasions where I felt like, yeah, he hasn't quite hit that note in the same way that Elton would have. But then, you know, there is a reason why Elton John is so rich and famous, because he's got an incredible voice. But then at the same time, the songs that they're doing, they're not direct adaptations, they're musical forms of it. It's their own interpretations, so it kind of gets away with it. And there are plenty of those songs in there. Like, it even has a little reference to Candle in the Wind, which was later on in Elton's career. But the one that I really like the most, I love it in these types of films when you see the creation process, where you see the inception of the song and it starts to formulate. And that happens with Your Song, when he gets Bernie's lyrics and he sits down at the piano and starts to put the music to the lyrics. It's like proper goosebumping stuff. Speaking of Bernie, in this film he's played by Jamie Bell, who once again delivers another great performance. He's such an underrated actor. Like, both he and Taron Egerton really sell their platonic friendship. Like, instantly you think, yeah, I'm bought into that. And I also really liked Richard Madden as John Reed, the dastardly manager who mixes pleasure with business until the pleasure runs out and then it's all about the business. And the film doesn't mince its words or hold back with regards to their relationship. I think it's pretty clear how Elton feels about John Reed and how he was treated by him, but the real emotional core of the film is the relationship that he had with his parents. Now, I wasn't completely convinced by Bryce Dallas Howard as his mum. Like, I'm not entirely sure why they couldn't have got an English actress to play her, but she's okay, and she's not a very nice woman. Out of both of the parents, I thought he might have a decent relationship with his mum, but no, not really. I also really liked Steve Mackintosh as his dad, who is emotionally distant and just won't hug him, like so many parents were back in that day. I don't think the film is is trying to explain why his parents were like that. I think it's just saying that's how they were. There's plenty of other little characters and great performances in there too, like Stephen Graham pops up as one of his earlier managers. He's great in everything. And there was one TV comedian cameo, like I just wasn't sure why he was in there. I think outside of the UK you probably won't know who he is, but when he popped up I was like, yeah, that felt like it was dropped in. But in general, all of the cast do a really good job. I should also mention that the film is funny as well as hitting the emotional beats. Like, it starts off with quite a decent joke which got me hooked in straight away, and it's full of like Elton John's self-deprecating, dry sense of humour. Taron Egerton has a line at one moment in the film where I burst out laughing, where he says, "I've been a since 1975, and I was like, yeah, Elton really doesn't mince his words. So that's my thoughts on Rocketman, and pause the video if you want to take a closer look at my enjoyment tracker now. For those that thought Bohemian Rhapsody was a watered down version of the Freddie Mercury story, I don't think they're going to be saying the same thing about this film, and maybe that's because Elton was involved in the creative process and made a lot of the key decisions. At the end of the film, I genuinely sat back and thought to myself, wow, like he's used this as an opportunity to say what he really thinks to people that he might not have got the chance to have said these things to. So in that way, the film could be seen as a form of therapy for him. So thanks very much for watching this review. If you've seen it, let me know what you thought. How does it compare to Bohemian Rhapsody? Is it better? Is it worse? Let me know down in the comments. And as always, thanks very much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. If you can, give it a like, and don't forget to share the Lave. Hold me closer.
Subscribe.